call Porter-Williams, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's been an interesting first reading debate thus far, and there are a couple of points that I want to touch on. You know, 2010, the government removed a democratically elected regional council organisation. It removed it. When we talk about democracy, Mr. Speaker, we talk about one person, one vote, and the ability for that person's voice to be heard in the democratic process. And I'm concerned that the government felt its duty to override the interests of the democratic process in what would appear to be favouring the interests of those people who really had an interest in the rural environment over the urban environment. One of our previous speakers talked about the schism between the rural-urban environments, and I feel, sir, that the removal of the ECAN councillors actually shifted the balance in the other direction unfairly. And it was not a democratic process. If there had been such an issue, then the will of the people should have been sought and another opportunity to vote should have been given. And when you look up the model that the government is proposing, the mixed model of governance, when you Google that, Mr. Speaker, all you get is ECAN. It is not a model that is widely used. In fact, it's used nowhere else in the regional council environment. It is not a model that is widely used. We are going to go from a government-imposed model to one that is not tried and true. Here again, Cantabrians are guinea pigs. When you look at the regulatory impact statement, Mr. Speaker, and I have a look at what the commissioners were actually required to do, the whole idea was we're going to streamline the planning process. Part 3 of the ECAN Act empowered ECAN to make changes to a plan or regional policy statement or to make variation to a proposed plan or regional policy statement through a limited appeals process. Yet again, stripping out the ability to go back to ECAN and say, as an individual, as a farmer, as an organisation, we actually want the right of appeal, and we've had that process limited. Let's have a look at the problem definition, the reason that we've got this bill before the House. So the expiry of the ECAN Act at the local body elections in October 2016 assumes that assuming the commissioners themselves don't stand. The reason that we're doing this and extending this for a further 3 years is that their collective skills, expertise and institutional knowledge will be lost at a single point in time at ECAN's leadership level. It's as if the commissioners have been operating in a vacuum and that the people of Canterbury don't know how to run their own affairs, that we need for them to hold our hands for a further 3 years. And further, another problem definition. In addition, the new leadership would not have available to them the resource management powers and processes under Part 3 of the ECAN Act, which I described before. So that is to make changes to a plan or regional policy statement. And again, there's a limited appeals process. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So soon, Mr. Speaker. There's so much more to talk about in this bill that is undemocratic to the people of Canterbury. So we are going to, after 6 years of a government control environment, Canterbury, still not have the ability to control our own affairs. I don't buy the argument, Mr. Speaker, that we are unable, after 6 years, to take back the reins of our regional council. I don't buy the argument that changes in leadership will create a vacuum, that we can't control these affairs ourselves, Mr. Speaker. I don't buy that it will require nearly 10 years of government interference in order to provide stability to the environment. I don't buy these arguments, Mr. Speaker, and I look forward to my future contributions on this bill.